With a city of over 10 million people and the nation's capital, Moscow has to be one of the most interesting places that I've been to in my life. I was extremely skeptical as an African American traveling to Russia because of the negative comments that I've read on blogs and seen on different websites. From historic dictators and communists to current affairs, Russia has experienced a lot. I'm glad I had the chance to travel to Russia and gain my own experience, because I would never have known that the city that used to be the heart and soul of the Soviet Union is now home to creative agencies and design factories. Things that I've heard about Russia's past. I was extremely uneasy about being in the country until I experienced the creative culture that Moscow had to offer. Although I'm not fluent in Russian, I felt at home being around so many creatives. I felt a common bond between the artists and designers because we shared the same language by using mediums to communicate our thoughts, whether it be through film, paint, music, or architecture. We all expressed our feelings through some kind of medium. To be honest, that was the icebreaker for me. And that's why I have appreciation not just for art, but more importantly, Russian culture. So with that being said, I hope to take you on a cultural journey through this city and give you the same experience that I had, or at least change your perspective about Moscow and Russian culture. One of my favorite places is Gorky Park. It's an amusement park where design fairs, dance classes, and cultural events happen. One of my favorite creative spaces in Moscow is Garage. It is a contemporary culture hub for Moscow. It started off as a bus station in the 1920s, but it's now been repurposed to be a creative space, a learning center for people who have an interest in fine arts, music, design, and much more. My favorite thing about Garage is it promotes collaborations between international designers from different backgrounds. A Russian fashion designer and a Japanese architect collaborated to design the entire space. Shigeru Ben, who's a popular architect, designed the space using natural resources from locally produced paper tubes. The Russian fashion designer designed the interior with vintage furniture, which complements the exterior. It kind of gives it a 1960s feel. As a result of seeing these two designers from different backgrounds collaborate, this inspired me because it proves that when creatives come together, they can create a space that not only inspires themselves, but inspires others to do creative work. And not only do I like the well-established designers, but I also enjoy the young creative energy that surrounds Gorky Park and Garage. This is where I spent most of my time, the design factory of Moscow, which is called Flakin. When you go through Flakin, you see self-expression in every way you can think of, which is inspiring to me because you're inspired by what people say or what people communicate. Well, for artists at Flakin to communicate through art was extremely important to me. It takes me back to the thought of, would someone really be inspired by Frank Gehry or Louis Kahn or Spike Lee if they never designed a building or created a film? So for me, I appreciate when artists or designers have great ideas, but most importantly, implement their ideas through their mediums. Because after all, an idea is just an idea until you actually implement it or initiate it. The interesting thing about Flakin is it's a creative campus that used to make fragrance bottles. And now, thinking on another level, they repurposed it, but did they keep to the same, idea or mission that they had before? They provided product. And basically they're still doing the same thing, but now Flakin is supplying designers and creatives to go out into the world and improve the way people function and improve the way people think. To be honest, although it's repurposed, it still creates the same demand that it was at first. It may not be in fragrance bottles, but it's producing creatives to go out into the world and redesign or reshape how we think. Laboratoria. It's a lab, but I like to call it a creative studio for scientists and artists to collaborate. It's one of those spaces that pushes creativity to the next level by combining disciplines such as art and science together to produce a new spirit of creative energy through Moscow. And the exhibition pieces were driven by different forms of technology. Some responded to movement, some responded to sound, some responded to a combination of both. But there was one that was very interesting. This machine created images based off of your scent, and from there it generates an image based off of how you smell. This was definitely inspiring because it gave me a different viewpoint on how to be creative and collaborate with disciplines such as art and science, and as a result design something that can be useful in other platforms and possibly improve the lives of people. There's only so many things that money can buy. I could never purchase an experience like this because it's definitely priceless. I'm glad I had the opportunity to travel to Moscow. This has not only changed my mind about Moscow, but art and Russian culture. As a result of being a part of the creative culture, it really opened my mind to seeing Moscow through a different lens. As human beings, we have to see things for ourselves. Media says one thing, but that's not the true representation of everyone from that society. By seeing the creative culture, I was able to see people who are like me in many ways. I saw designers who use mediums to express themselves just like me. Although I was thousands of miles outside of my comfort zone, I felt at home when I was around creators who spoke the same language, which was art. Now I can see art as a way of communication between cultures and people from different backgrounds. Despite Russia's difficult past and present situations, not only did I learn a lot about Russian culture and the creative culture in Moscow, but I learned a lot about myself. And the more I travel, the more I continue to gain these life lessons that money can't buy.